Hey, how's it going? Travis Monson here with my YouTube channel, Once Upon a Board Game. Thanks for watching. I'm going to teach you a game, Castle Combo. This is obviously a little box game. It's new. It actually just was released at the Essenspiel Board Game Convention here in Germany, and it sold out. It was super popular. So this is super quick, easy, a lot of fun, and it was one of the ones that I put on my recommended games list for this year. We've had fun with it, and it's really easy. So I'm going to set it up and show you how to play. Okay, like I said, I'm going to be teaching you Castle Combo. This is a fun little game. If you look on the side of the box, it says it plays up to 5 players. Games last about 25 minutes, so it's a quick, short one. So I've got this set up for 2 players. You'll notice there's 2 different decks of cards, okay? There's the gray deck of what's called castle cards. There's a picture of the castle on the back. And there's a brown deck of village cards, and there's a picture of a little village. Okay, so to set up the game, you shuffle each deck, and then you lay out 3 of each deck. And the castle deck always goes on the top and the village deck goes on the bottom. And you got this nice chunky little wooden messenger token. He goes next to the village deck. Each player starts with $15 and 2 keys, okay? So I've got my $15 and 2 keys, and I got Allie's $15 and her 2 keys. Okay, again, this goes up to 5 players, so you could have more, but I've just got it set up for 2 players. You've got just a spare supply of extra keys and coins that you can just set off to the side. I want to also mention that the back of the rule book has a really good summary of how a turn works. Okay, so this is a good reference to leave on the table while you're playing. There's a thing that I'm going to get to this in a minute, so let me just mention this. It shows a little distribution. The cards have shields in the corner, as you'll see. We'll get to that in a minute. This just kind of has a breakdown of the different color shields. There's 6 different colors in the game, and you can see the blue are the rarest and the yellow are the most common. And the blue, purple, and green are more often found in the gray castle cards, whereas the red, orange, and yellow ones are more often found in the brown village cards. Don't let that worry you. This is more for people that are, card counters and like to focus on that kind of stuff. You can play the game totally fine without worrying about this at all, without knowing a thing about it. So don't get intimidated by this, okay? But that's a good reference for how the turn works. There's also a quick little player aid. There's some icons on the cards. It's pretty self-explanatory and pretty intuitive for the most part. So once you've played once or twice, it makes good sense. But if you ever have a question or doubt, there's this handy little player aid that gives a breakdown of what each little symbol means, which is great to kind of set aside also. And of course, there's a scoring pad for keeping score at the end, which I will point out, the last time we played, Travis and Allie, I smoked Allie. I beat her 74-72. I totally crushed her. Anyway, all right. So again, shuffle the 2 decks, lay out 3 of each, castle on the top, village on the bottom, messenger here, $15 and 2 keys per person, and you're ready to start, okay? So I do want to talk about a card really quick. Let me just kind of hold it up. Hopefully it's focused okay. There's a couple of pieces of information on each card, okay? First of all, in the top left corner is a cost for how much it costs to play that card, to bring it into play in front of you. Okay, sometimes there's 1 or 2. I honestly don't know if there's any cards with no shields, but typically there's at least 1 or 2 shields in the upper right corner. Then, right below the picture, there's always an immediate effect, something that happens when the card is played. And then on the bottom in the scroll is a game end scoring effect. Okay, so this is what happens immediately when you play it, and that's how it scores at the end of the game. So that's kind of how each card is laid out. Each card also has, the village cards have this brown little banner, just kind of a little reminder that it's a village card, and then there's a name. This is the inventor, right? Whereas the castle cards have, the blue little flag hanging down, and then, His Majesty. Okay, but you can see the cost, the shields, the immediate effect, and the game end scoring effect. So cards are laid out the same, okay? This little triangle, I'll get to that happens at the end of each round. That's how that one works. Okay, so again, the way that a turn works is you first have the option to spend a key. I'll explain that in 1 second. Then you have to buy a card, you have to do the card's ability, and then basically you reset for the next turn. You move the messenger pawn if necessary, and then refill the display. Okay? So, spending a key, how does that work? Again, we start with 2 keys. We have the option to get more. Okay? To spend a key, you have 2 options. First and foremost, like I said, you have to buy a card each turn. You can only ever buy cards from the row of cards where the messenger token is located. So right now I can only buy one of these 3 village cards. The castle cards are off limits because the messenger is down here. That's one use for a key. I could spend a key to move the messenger to a different row. That's one option, okay? Conversely, I could spend a key. If I really don't like any of these cards, I could spend a key to discard all 3 cards, put out 3 new ones, and then take my turn. These would just go in a discard pile off to the side. Okay, and then you would, if you ever run out, you would reshuffle the deck and do that. But that's what you can spend keys for, either to move the messenger to take the different cards, or to discard and wipe the slate and start fresh with new options. Okay, I don't want to do that at the start of the game, so I'm just going to take my turn. So you optionally spend a key, then you must buy a card. I'm going to go ahead and start by buying this card for 2 reasons. First of all, he doesn't cost me anything, and he gives me, his effect is he gives me a discount of -1 coin for all village and castle cards that I buy for the rest of the game. So he makes everything cheaper, which is great. So I'll take that card and put it in front of me, and I don't have to pay any money. Okay? Now, then, I refill the display. I want to come back to apply the card's ability. This ability goes into effect with all future purchases, so there's nothing for me to do right now. But then I would move the messenger pawn if necessary and refill the display. This guy doesn't move the messenger pawn. Let me show these 2 cards as a for example. Okay, so here's the card I bought. You see there's no little triangle here. Both of these cards have a triangle in the corner. Okay, if you buy a card that shows the little triangle, at the end of your turn, you move the messenger pawn. So if I were to have bought this card, it says at the end of my turn, the messenger pawn moves up to the castle row. So he would move up. If on a later turn, I had bought this His Majesty, this king card, the messenger pawn moves down to the villager row. So he would move down. Okay, you only move the pawn if the card that you buy has that little triangle in the corner. Okay, so since the card that I took doesn't have that, he stays put. So again, I buy the card for free. There's no immediate effect because he just gives me a discount for later turns, and then I refill the display, and since there's no triangle, the messenger pawn doesn't move. That's my turn. And these games are quick. Basically, you're filling a 3x3 grid of cards in front of you, and when each person has that, the game is over. So you get 9 turns, and that's it. Okay, then it comes Allie's turn. Okay, so she's looking at some of these other things, and let's say maybe she wants to try and score big. She's going to say, you know what, I'm going to spend a key to move him up, and I am going to get this guy right here. Okay, so this costs her $4, so we'll pay a 5 and get back 1, and she'll put that in front of her. So once she puts the card in front of her, this says he immediately pays $1 for every card costing $4. So right now there's just a single card costing 4, so she just gets $1 back. So if she had multiple cards that had a cost of 4, she would get multiple coins. Okay, and this tells her at the end of the game, she's going to score 3 points for every card that costs 4. So maybe she wants to buy a bunch of cards that cost 4. Okay, so that's her turn. The display is refilled, and this does move the messenger pawn back down for me. Okay, back to my turn. I say, you know what, this card is perfect for me. I want to buy him, and I'll explain why in a second. So he costs 2, but this says I pay $1 less for cards. So I only have to pay $1 for him. Okay, and now here's an important rule. Like I said, the game is going to end when you have a 3x3 grid of cards. Every card, so the first one you just put in front of you, it doesn't matter where it goes. But from then on, every card has to be placed orthogonally adjacent. So orthogonal, if you don't know that word, it means touching a side perpendicularly. So it's kind of the opposite of diagonal. So orthogonally adjacent means touching a top or a bottom or a side. So I have to put a card next to something else. You'll notice that this guy, my first one that gives discounts, he says he gives me 2 points for every orange shield that is immediately to the left or right or above or below him. This guy has 2 shields. So I want to put him somewhere touching this card. So I'll just go ahead and put it there. Okay. So I buy the card, I play it, and then I immediately get the effect. So this says put $2 on each card that shows a money bag. Sorry, $2, 2 coins. Okay, so I put 2 coins on this card. That's the immediate effect for this card. Now these coins, I can't spend them. This is basically just game end scoring points. This card says it's going to be worth 2 points for every coin that is on this card. So he's already worth 4 points. That's great. The little number, and again, this is all, it's summarized and it explains all this on the play rate if you forget. But this says I can only have a limit of up to 4 coins on this card. Okay, so the most it could be worth would be 8 points. Okay, but that's my turn, right? So I bought the card, I played it, I did the effect, and then I'm going to refill the display. And this does have the little triangle, so the messenger pawn moves up. Okay, Now, Allie's looking, okay, well, bummer. There's no cards that cost 4, right? This guy, he wants to get cards that cost 4 to score her more points. So she's thinking, okay, well, that doesn't help me right now. So she says, what can I do instead? Well, maybe she can say this guy, okay? So she'll take this card again. He's free. She puts it next to her. And it says, so once she plays it, she says, this says gain money until 2 money bag cards are full. So she just immediately puts $3 on this card. And then that's that card's effect. You know, if she had another one, you know, maybe she should have timed it better and waited till she had at least 2 of those kind of cards. But at least right now, this card is worth 6 points, so that's great. Okay, so she did that. You refill the display. There's no triangle, so the messenger pawn stays. Okay, and it comes back to me, and I'm not gonna play the whole game, but you get the gist, right? It's gonna go back and forth like this. A couple of things. So you may get to the point where it's your turn and you're out of money. I'm broke, okay? You always have the option. You can take a card, again, it has to be from the display where the messenger is, but you can take a card and instead of paying it and taking the immediate effect and the game end points, you flip it over and put it face down in front of you. When you do so, the card says, I'm gonna get $6 and 2 keys. So it's a way to get some more money and some more keys for flexibility for future turns. So that's a good way to get some more cash immediately. But the drawback, I'm not gonna get a chance to score points for that card, okay? So you can do that, you know, but hopefully try not to run out of money. It's kind of the moral of the story. So I could put that there, for instance, okay? You'll notice, you know, sometimes cards will say, this is gonna score points if it's in a specific location in my 3x3 grid. So speaking of the grid, I do wanna mention that really quick, okay? When you first play, I have a lot of flexibility. I can put stuff pretty much wherever you want, okay? But once you set the footprint, okay, now I have 3 cards wide. I can never go wider than that. So on a future turn, I could not put a card on either side because I already have 3 cards wide. I would have to go above or below. So once I've done something like that, maybe I have a card down there, now I've set the limits of my 3x3 grid. Okay, so my future options would be only to play a card adjacent to those. I couldn't go further wider or further taller. Okay, and you're just gonna go back and forth like that, paying, immediately scoring points, coins, or not points, but you get coins or keys, and then you'll get an option for scoring points at the end of the game. And again, it's really quick. It's just 9 turns back and forth, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, that's how you play. Okay, so I'm gonna show you really quick how to score. So again, like I said, the game is gonna end when you have a 3x3 grid filled in. Now, I just drew these cards, so this is probably gonna score poorly because I didn't plan this out. But you'll grab the scorecard, you'll add up the score, and highest points wins. The way that it scores is, if you look, it kind of says, hey, first look at the very top left card in your grid, what does it score? The top middle card, what does it score? And so on. And then keys, every key you have left in front of you is worth 1 point each. So put all those values down, add it up, and the highest score wins. So for example, you look, so the top left card, so I look at this guy. He says he scores 1 point for every brown villager card that I have. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 villager cards. So he's worth 5 points, so I put a 5 there. This guy, he is worth 3 points if he is in one of those 4 spots. He's in that top middle spot, so he's worth 3. So I put 3 points there. This guy says he scores 3 points for every blue shield in his row, okay? And which I kind of misspoke earlier. I said immediately adjacent, above and below. This symbol means anything in that row or that column. So this guy down here, he would score for purple shields the whole row, not only what's right immediately touching. Anyway, so 3 points for every blue shield. He's the only blue shield. He's worth 3 points. This guy, again, I was broke. I had to flip it over for money and keys, so he doesn't score any points. So that's just a 0. He's worth 2 points for every orange shield in his column or in his row. There's no orange shields there, but there's 2 there. So he's worth 4 points. This guy is worth $2 for every coin on the card. 2, 4, so he's worth 4 points. This guy down here is worth 10 points if I have no orange. If the orange shield is missing from my display, he's worth 10. Unfortunately, I've got a couple orange shields. So this card is worth 0. Again, I probably wouldn't have taken that. He's worth 2 points for every purple shield in the row or the column. There's 2 here, there's none here. So that's 4 points, 2 and 2. And finally, this guy's worth 4 points for every blue shield in this column. I got 1 here and 1 here, so that's 4 points. So I'd write those down. I've got 2 keys. I'd put that there. I'd add it up. Highest score wins. So it's super quick, super easy, a lot of fun. That's how you score. All right, again, thanks for watching. Again, the scoring, I just drew those cards. That's not exactly how I probably would have played if I was actually paying attention and not just showing a demonstration of scoring. But as you can see, it's quick, just 9 quick turns and it's over. You add it up and it's a lot of fun. And it's one of those ones that once you play, you're like, now I get it. I think I can do better. Let's try again. And it's short enough that you can play back to back. It's a lot of fun. We've had fun with it. Again, it was super hot, sold out at the Essen Spiel at the convention. So I'm pretty sure it's hitting wider distribution, so I think it's available now. But if you can play it, go ahead and try. It's a lot of fun. Thanks for watching.